Hey, how's it going? I'm reviewing another story. Yes, yes, yeah, of course. No. You know the drill at this point. Not an isekai! What a shocker. um, I just want to address something off the bat. I know this is the novel cover. I know, I'm fairly confident, yes, this is a novel cover. But I just found a higher res image for the novel cover than I did, the manhwa thing, so I'm using this. Leave me alone. It just looked better. Sorry. I didn't even really find that many images online. I really didn't want to start ripping stuff, so I'll talk about it, okay? Before we get into anything, I guess, like, comment, subscribe, blah blah blah, YouTube garbage. Okay. If you haven't seen any of the other videos I've done about this, I'm gonna give a rating, and then I'll go into why I gave it that rating. For this one, I liked it, but there were a couple of parts that really made me annoyed, so I think I'll give it a 6. And I'm gonna get into some things here, and I don't think they're really that big of spoilers, but if you don't want to hear anything about the series, maybe you should turn away. Turn your head, cover your ears, don't look. Just have the video on silent so I get retention. Okay. So here's the gist of the story. This girl, due to a clerical error, is married to the Emperor. And they go and, they send someone over. He's basically going to give her divorce proceeding. But because of the whole divorce thing, if you divorce the Emperor, I guess by their legislation, you have to be, exiled for 10 years so your influence, doesn't mess anything up. But of course, she didn't even know she was married. And she really wasn't. So she, is upset about the whole being exiled thing. And it just so happens that her father was like a war hero, and it kind of goes into the trope of like the kids around all the veteran, like everyone in my village is incredible, and they taught me all their skills. So she's just like good at everything. And she goes on a little journey to see the Emperor and sort out the whole situation because she doesn't want to be exiled. That's the gist, right? Basically like an overpowered character going on a journey to clear their name, but it's more of like a joking manner. Now, here's the thing. The Emperor is not that bad. He's a reasonable fellow. He doesn't want to do the whole divorce thing, but when he really only has one option because the temple is full of dicks, he does. So I don't blame him too much. But the temple in this story, listen, I could see that they're clearly like, oh, we need her to talk to the Emperor. I get it. But like, oh god, is it like, without getting to the payoff, it is like torturous. Trying to like feel like they're just doing like douchey things. They don't fill anybody in on anything. They're using this whole like clerical error idea pretty much to get her to see the Emperor, is what I'm guessing. Listen, I didn't read the whole thing. I don't want to read the whole thing right off the bat. I like to read a little bit and see if it's, if it feels like it's worth reading. And this one is very frustrating. I'm the type of person that really dislikes the whole idea of, like, someone's a dick, and they get away with it because it leads to some good result, and, like, they seem content in being a dick. It's like, oh my god, it's so frustrating. I hate it, and I know they're setting it up like, oh, it's like fate, and we need her to meet the Emperor, and blah blah blah. But, like, oh my god, I hate it. It's so, like, ugh. I hate those kinds of that kind of storytelling where it's like someone's just a dick and they get no recompense or anything, and it's like, oh, and it's like, oh, I get, like, even if like, oh, they're like, God told me to do this, it's still like, you're being an asshole. I don't care who told you, you're still being an asshole. I don't like it. I don't know, it's like one of those story beats that I always just dislike, just inherently, because it's like so just, ugh, it's like grating. on me. I don't know why. It's just so grating. I don't even know if I even said the name, but the name is How Can There Be a Divorce When We Haven't Even Married, Your Majesty. But like, but what a terrible name, by the way. Way too long. Extremely long. I've said this before, but when you have a long name, you can tell there's going to be flaws. And I don't think that's any less true here. Yeah, like, it's just... Nothing about this is appealing to me, really. Her type of character, like the hot-headed person that really doesn't, you know, is a little dense, super common. The most basic main character. Red hair, yellow eye combination in terms of aesthetics, that's a little bit different. It's not the most common, but I've seen it. So it's not winning anything on aesthetics. The whole Grand Duke thing, if you read the part of the story, she has a fascination with like the Northern Duke idea. Of course, there's a Northern Duke idea that's pretty generic. Now she like mentions some generic tropes that are not involved in this story, but he has all the ones that are not involved. Like she mentions some of the ones that aren't real in this story, but he has all the other ones. So like he's still a typical boring Grand Duke-esque character, nothing special. You know, has he's antagonistic toward the Emperor because of a fallen kingdom. Basic plot. Seen it a million times. The Emperor, you know, the whole like cold Emperor thing, you know, gets mad at people, does all this stuff. Super basic. The reason I give it a 6 is because I think there's a comfort food level here, and I always give a story points for comfort food, where I at least think that the way that they do the main like 3 characters is relatively fun. I'll give it that. Pacing wise, this story is at a breakneck pace. I think maybe within like 16 chapters, she's already like at the capital. She's already met the Emperor. It's way faster than any other story would be. Now, maybe the idea is that it's kind of promoting the novel, and if that's the case, then fine. You can breakneck pace it a little bit, but I am rating this on the merits of the manhwa, not the merits of the novel, and the pace is bad. way too fast. Extremely fast. Blitzing things. So, overall, I mean, like, I would say it hits that comfort food vibe, but it doesn't necessarily do anything super well. It's not interesting. I wouldn't really continue reading. It's very forgettable. And again, I give 6 to something that's like... If it's a 5, then it's like, there is nothing here. I basically read nothing. That was nothing. I give it a little more to a 6 because it at least hits that comfort food vibe where it's at least somewhat entertaining for a short read. It is not good. If I give something a 6, I'm not necessarily saying that you should go out of your way to read this. If I give something a 6, it normally means that it's just fine. It is all right, right? Like, this character's personality is fine. I don't dislike it. The king is okay. He's mixed. The duke, I think, is... The Duke to me is probably bad. It's on the lower end. It's nothing really that special. It's mildly entertaining seeing her, you know, interactions with him, but anything he does individually is boring. So meh. The main character I would say is a positive. She's relatively good. I like the main character. She's not terrible. I think the whole like Duke thing and everything. This also I think could have easily been what I would call a fake isekai, where they do an isekai element for no reason, but they didn't. So I have to give it a little bit of props for that too. Overall, I think most of the story beats are not original. It's just all right. The art's pretty good. I mean, I think like it's a typical manhwa level of art where it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. Story beats are fine. Characters range from, pretty solid to meh. So overall, I'm thinking I think a 6 is fair. It is not a standout story to me. It's not like, anything special, but it's serviceable. I think it limits itself from being a 7 because I really hate the idea of, that like condescending dickhead tone that like the temple has and things like that. I hate that. It is one of the least satisfying ways to tell a story. Like they feel like, oh, we know everything and we're not going to tell anybody anything, and it's like, oh, I hate that. And I know, I'm sure that they are setting up for like, oh, the temple was, they need to set these two characters to like up because of some reason. I know. But that doesn't mean I like it. It's still like not a satisfying storytelling beat, and it feels terrible to read. So I mean, I think that really hurts it. Like, I would probably give it a 7 if that was done a little bit differently, but I cannot give it more than a 6 with that. That is one of my least favorite things, and if you're okay with that, that's cool. But me, I hate that type of storytelling. It's so like, it's so grating on me. But whatever. I think that's the gist of it. Pretty basic, but fine. It's serviceable. Yeah. 6 overall. So, I mean, I'd appreciate if you could like, comment, subscribe, maybe let me know if there's another series you want me to talk about. I don't know. I'd appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. I mean, maybe I'll have already read the series you're going to talk about, but that's fine. I'll read it again and I'll talk about it again. That's cool. Yeah. I'll see ya.